anyway, so wasn't allowed to watch television. I was encouraged to be creative. A great childhood. We were allowed to read anything we wanted. We were not censored as children. So you know, when you're 7, 8, 9 years old and your parents say you can read anything you want to read, what do you want to read Playboy magazine, right? You want to see if they mean it, and they did. We were allowed to paint on our walls. I know people probably came to our homes and said, who are these hooligan children? But our parents allowed us to do anything we wanted to do in the name of creativity. And they really, really did support that and indulge that. And I think it worked because we're all creative beings. My sister is known internationally for her scrapbooking. Now, scrapbooking to me is just paper. You know, and she'll call me and talk about this amazing paper she's found. And I'm just saying, Lisa, it's just paper. But that's her, you know, that's her creative thing. And my brother is a professional environmentalist and an attorney. But he was also a director. He directed commercials and documentaries. And I'm a writer. And that's all I really wanted to do. My mom says I wrote my first poem at 3. You know, mothers. I really think it was more like 6. And the poem went, sugar plum in the tree. Please get the sugar plum just for me. And then it went on for apparently 13 more stanzas. So that's where you get that whole, you know you are verbose thing. But I wrote short stories and poems, and I wrote the poems on my bed sheets and the short stories, and my mother she actually wouldn't change my bed sheets until I was done with certain chapters or drawings, and you know, and now she's sorry she didn't keep those bed sheets. But that was kind of my upbringing. I stumbled into television news in the early 80s, and little did I know it was going to give me something absolutely fascinating. What a voice to write about. We really do have a front row seat to history. The things we see and the things we experience. And I keep a little notebook with me. And I write down things that happen and the characters I meet. And a lot of these characters and people and situations actually end up in my fiction books. I'm not sure those, how many have read book 1? I'm going to talk about both. Okay. I don't know if you know, but the whole series is actually loosely based on something that happened to me when I was a police reporter. I'm a former police reporter. I was a police reporter for about 8 years. Everybody know what a police reporter is? Do you guys know? It's a different animal than what I do now. A police reporter basically isn't sent out of the building unless someone is dead, dying, burning, or decomposing. We do the crime blotter. That's all we do. It is our daily bread. It is the consumption and regurgitation of the misery of others. That's what a police reporter is. And I did it for 8 years. And there was a case that I covered when I worked in Baltimore where these 2 kids had been killed at this gas station. Now you have to keep in mind when you live a life and you can't remember the last time you haven't seen a dead body, all right? Can you imagine that? And now I can't tell you the last time I have, which is really quite wonderful. But very little sticks to us. It can't, because we'd be crazy people. We'd be, people think we're crazy anyway, but we'd be absolutely insane, if you can imagine that. But I covered this case, and these 2 kids have been killed at this gas station, and I remember showing up on the scene and having the sense that I had encountered a different brand of evil. There was something about that murder scene that made me understand that I was encountering, with all the crimes I covered, and that I was encountering something new. As a police reporter, you usually do the crimes, you rarely do the trials. I did the arraignment. It just so happened that I did the arraignment of this guy. He killed 3, actually ended up killing 3 kids. Did the arraignment of this guy. Haven't said who he is publicly. He's an actual man. Haven't decided if I want to. A few people know. But anyway, so I was covering his arraignment, and I was sitting in the first, you know, kind of one of the first pews of the courtroom, and this guy turns around, and he looks at me, and our eyes lock. And he says, "Hello, Paula." And then he kind of mouths the words of something else, and it looked like he said, "I love you." And I was like, did anybody else see that? Did anybody see this? I ended up covering his trial. It was on a change of venue in the Cumberland Mountains of Maryland. And this guy had a real obsession with me. And I have no reason to believe that he killed because of me. I honestly believe the first time we laid eyes on each other was at that arraignment. But at this trial, he would carry on in court, "Paula, I love you," and he would hold up signs, and he would scream my name. And I thought the judge was going to throw me out of the courthouse because I was the disruption. Anyway, one day I was late to court. I dropped my pen. I stooped over to pick up my pen, and the entire courtroom gasped. And I just thought, what did this idiot do now? And I didn't realize until I, sat up, and he was right in front of me, eye to eye. He'd gotten away from the sheriff's deputies. And he raised his hand, and I just went like this, because I thought he was going to stab me. And then I just kind of went like this. And he was holding out letters that he'd been writing me, love letters. And my photographer said, "Take the letters, stupid." Oh, okay. So I grabbed the letters, and he touches my hand like that. So now I know what he feels like. I know what his touch feels like. And I had goosebumps. And from that, when I'm riding up Woodward Avenue and thinking, wow, Silver Star Chop Suey, and all of a sudden it just came to me. The idea for the book came to me that there's a reporter who shows up on the scene of a double murder, and she doesn't realize the killer is still there. And it's kind of a crime of opportunity. He's just kind of hanging around to admire his handiwork. And when he sees her, he goes, "Wow, that is my favorite reporter. I watch her on TV all the time." How many times have you seen, I mean, you guys watch Channel, but so that doesn't, but I'm just kidding. How many times have you guys seen somebody you see on the air, and you go, "Oh my gosh, I see them all the time. I wonder if they're like that in real life. I wonder if they're nice. I wonder if," you know what I mean? But this guy goes, "Oh my gosh, I watch her all the time. I love her." And he makes a decision right there. If he keeps killing, she's going to keep showing up to cover those crimes. He knows what she does for a living. He watches her on television. So he makes a decision right there to kind of create these dates. He's going to kill people. He's going to follow her around and kill people in her proximity. So she gets to the scene first, and he can make her a star. And maybe, just maybe, he'll get a chance to meet her and make her his own. So that's the premise of the book. I know some of you have already read book one. I'm going to read you a couple of passages and talk about it. Listen, when you tell people that you met me, you will, trust me. Tell them I'm shorter and thinner in person. And I don't wear eyeglasses. And actually, I just started contact lenses, which has been going swimmingly. But you know when you just start putting in contact lenses in your hand? So I tore them. So the first book signing I have, and I don't have contact lenses, I'm actually back to playing like I don't wear eyeglasses. It really makes me mad. All right. Prologue. The book actually starts. "I hate my life today. The clock is ticking. I have less than 3 hours before news time, and I have to have something to feed the monster." Feeding the monster, that's what we call it. The monster is bigger and more powerful than any of us. It's hungry 4 times a day, and it needs a snack just about every hour on the hour. The monster is the newscast, and it must be placated no matter what, at 5:30 in the morning, at noon, at 5 in the evening, and 11 o'clock at night. It doesn't matter if your story is half-baked or well done. At your designated slot, you must feed the monster. The monster is always hungry, and if it doesn't eat, you die. That's how it works, and that's why I hate my life today. Every television news reporter, any given day. And that really is what our lives are like. That's kind of how it is. We have these incredible deadlines that are always weighing on us. And we have to have something to feed that never-changing news cycle. And now with all the news and internet, and the monster is really just bigger and hungrier. And we always have to have, you know what, at 5 o'clock in the morning, my story better be done because I got to feed that monster. And that's pretty much how it is.